Beck, nice to see you. Welcome to the show.
Good to see you too. Good to be here.
Likewise. And I have a lot of questions I want to ask you, but let's start maybe with the start of your career in music. What is one of your first memories with music? Something that really excites you that stayed with you after so many years?
I grew up on the south coast of England. Near Brighton was the nearest city, and that's when I used to go there and go to these like kind of illegal raves that were on the beach or, you know, in the forest. And I remember back having my like Nokia 3210, and you know, you'd text a number and the address would be revealed, and they'd just have like a generator and a big sound system, and it was just amazing. Like that was my real first experience of music, like pretty underage, I guess. And that was more like the whole dubstep, drum and bass scene, of course, like that England is super famous for, especially in that area. I also went to one of the biggest Fatboy Slim performance on the beach, where there was like millions of people, like a few million people. And it was absolutely amazing. I just remember being like mind blown, being on the beach there as like a young kind of like teenager, and just thinking, oh, imagine being him on stage and how great that would be. And also like, yeah, I used to get to know all of this kind of break sound, this UK breaks and jungle and all of that, and I absolutely loved it. It wasn't until I went to London that I discovered techno in Fabric, of course, and back when there was Matter as well in the O2. Very long time ago, I guess. I think I was like 18, 19, and that's when, yeah, I first heard techno. And of course, with that sound system in Fabric as well, and the sub they have on the floor, and like kind of that bass moving through my body, that's when I was like, oh wow, techno like really moves you. And I felt like maybe it's something I wanted to pursue, and I had been collecting music since my teens, so I already had quite a collection at that point.
Was that CDs or records still at that time?
I actually CDs and digital music even, and some records, but I wasn't collecting records like, you know, massively. It was mainly digital.
Got it. And you were already basically leaning toward DJing. That was the idea, the intention. Like after Fatboy Slim or that area, so rave parties, then Fatboy Slim, huge like outdoor parties, then eventually Fabric. At what point did you start thinking seriously, I think I want to be a DJ?
So I used to just collect the music and obsess over the year it was released, which label it was on, who wrote it. And I just used to love to learn about music, like where was that producer from? And I started to get like quite a encyclopedia of music in my mind, and friends would say to me, you know, like it's kind of crazy how many tracks you can like say the idea of. And then I was at a friend's, and he encouraged me, actually. He said, look, I think that you have a lot of music knowledge, you should start DJing. And then I was like, okay, picked up the headphones and then kind of never put them down after. Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
Hello, and thanks so much for watching or listening to this podcast with Almost Sound. I'm Joseph, and this is the Almost Sound Studio. Just a quick interruption to tell you that if you're a producer and you're looking to further your skills or get inspiration from some of the most interesting artists in the world, you can head over to almostsound.co.uk and get access to masterclasses and courses from some of the most interesting producers out there. Whether you're a beginner just starting off or an intermediate level producer who's released music and is playing gigs, or even an advanced producer who is looking for more inspiration and understanding how their favorite producers make music, we do have a range of masterclasses that cover pretty much anything from sound design, sculpting a low end, creating engaging melodies, all the way down to mixing and mastering and arrangement. Whenever you want, head over to almostsound.co.uk and select the masterclass and course for you. See you on the other side.
And what was the starting point in terms of genre or style for you when you started actually playing?
It was a mixture of like house and techno, but I needed to start with house because of like where I was in London and kind of like the scenes I was in. It wasn't super techno orientated at that time. And, you know, I was just scrambling around for any gig I could get. And that was like sometimes even in restaurants. So playing house, you know, just trying to get in front of a audience. But I loved more underground music like always. So, yeah.
Okay, so interesting. Because do you think that is connected with your starting point, which was illegal raves and that kind of environment?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Always just loving more underground sound, and even this dubstep vibe back in the day that was more underground dubstep, that really bassy, like synth based like music, and just noticing when I preferred certain sounds over others, and like starting to already understand the sound design as well a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And then I think at some point you also started getting into production. You did also a course at SAE, Point Blank, or which school in London was that?
It was SAE in Haggerston.
Okay. Yeah, I know it really well.
Yeah, I did like a 6-month evening course. I was there like 2 nights a week, and super keen, like 23-year-old, like wanting to move into music. Yeah.
And at that point, you were already DJing out in clubs and bars in London?
Yeah, whatever I could get. I remember sometimes it was in a club, usually unpaid. I was playing a mixture of like members clubs in West London and bars and restaurants, which were like regular gigs on like a Saturday that I'd invite friends to. And then the odd like techno night in East.
Okay. Yeah. Classic London life.
Yeah, London life. Yeah.
Really classic.
Yeah.
And then at what point then you said, okay, I want to make producing and DJing my career. I really believe in my sound. I have vision for what I can become.
I was a digital designer in an advertising agency in London, and I was walking home one day from work, like from the back of Oxford Street, going to the Tube. And I just thought, you know what? This life is not for me. I'm not built for a 9 to 5. I want more expression over my creativity. And actually music was like the way for me to go with that, because although my day job was creative, I always had someone telling me how it should look, and so I decided literally on that walk home to just book a flight to Berlin. And 2 weeks later, I moved over here only knowing about 3 people. With 1 suitcase, and I never went back.
Yeah.
So that's when I made the decision, I need to change my life. I'm going to pursue my music career.
Yeah. You kind of burned the bridge. I mean, you didn't really burn bridges, but almost the boat has sailed. Let's go for your dreams.
Yeah.
No. And what inspires you these days?
Yeah. I think I connect a lot my music with my emotions and what I'm like processing at the time. Of course, like as humans, we're always processing something, whether it's a happy experience, a more difficult experience. And I think my inspiration really comes from like my own life experiences. But of course, as well, if I've been and traveled somewhere and experienced another culture, that's something that can really inspire me as well.
Mm-hmm. And in other interviews, you also alluded or talked about spirituality. What is your connection with the spiritual world and spirituality in general?
Yeah, I'm quite a spiritual person. I started this journey also just as my music career was starting. It's kind of like an alignment. I always felt like I could understand that there were synchronicities in life when I was questioning kind of why I see through my eyes, and you know, why certain things are the way they are, and how do some people not see that, and how are people okay with their lives kind of in a system, you know, and don't think of us as more than our physical bodies. And then, yeah, I had a very deep experience with psychedelics and plant medicine at a young age. And that kind of broke me into understanding that the universe, like beyond our bodies, actually. And I understood that like creativity for me was like an expression of that as well. And it's something that you can also channel if you feel, you know, if you feel more connected at certain points. It's something that I believe comes from that other place as well.
Yeah. What was the context of your plant medicine experience?
The first one was actually Bufo. So I went in for the most strong psychedelic on earth.
This is like from zero.
That was actually a spontaneous experience, and it was absolutely incredible. I wouldn't change it for anything. I was already on the verge of understanding all of these things in life, and like of understanding that there is a bigger consciousness than what we are, and we can tap into that. And then I had this, it wasn't really spontaneous. It was an alignment. It was a good friend of mine that said, hey, we were in the same place in America. And he said, hey, we've got a really special experience with shaman, and would you like to take part in it? And I said, yeah, why not? Because I'm always wanting to experience everything I can. And that just I needed a moment afterwards, because I just it's really hard to put this into words.
So it seems like that experience also opened up something for you that changed or informed your creativity, your journey afterwards.
Yeah, it was such a pivotal moment in my life. And I was just at one point so grateful to have it, and at another really trying to understand what just happened and what I wanted and needed to do from there. So it kind of put me into a super deep reflective mindset at a really young age of understanding, or trying to understand what's the purpose in life. How can we use creativity to help heal other people, to heal ourselves as a practice, because I do see creativity as a practice. It's definitely one of my practices. And so also using, when we are creative, it's like a expression of what we feel in that moment, and going into understanding sound as frequency. Frequency is a number at the end of the day, which links to all sacred geometry that, we see and we are made up of as a genetic level. And then, being able to really channel that moment where we're sitting at our desk in the studio or with a machine jamming, and really understanding that this is quite a deep experience spiritually if you are able to kind of resonate, excuse the pun, with what we are on a bigger picture.
Yeah. What do you think blocks us from doing as artists? Let's say you can talk about it from your personal perspective, or from what you think a more generic perspective that can block other people. But what is a blocker for an artist to actually feel these things and then channel them into music?
Yeah, I think a blocker is when you're not connected and you're not present or in the flow. And I used to get very blocked. When I first had my studio at Riverside, I remember, I'd be in there every day, 5 days a week for a certain amount of period, when I really wanted to create and deepen my skills with sound design and production. And 2 out of the 3 days I'd be blocked, and I'd be super frustrated, and I would just be questioning, and you get into this kind of spiral of oh no, I'm not feeling creative today. And then I think that when you get into that spiral, essentially you're not present, you overthink, and then the whole day is a mess, and then you start the blame or the shame of yourself. And so for me now, I'm very, very happy to say I don't get blocked anymore. I think it's a combination of my self practices and being able to kind of train and bring my mind back a bit, but also at understanding that not every piece of music is going to be, completely amazing that we're going to release. And also every piece of music has a part in the puzzle. So even if I'm not happy with a piece of music, it's fine. I still sit there, I still finish it, and it's one for the books. And you never know how it can be used as well.
Yeah,
in the future.
Sure. When you say can be used by yourself, or by someone else, when you say how a piece of music can be used, meaning even if you don't release it now, there is maybe a place for that piece of music in your future. Yeah,
people don't realize there's actually many ways that you can actually earn more revenue from music. You can get a publisher. A publisher can see if they can place that piece of music in film or adverts or anything else. There's also publishers that are, using that music for potential other writers. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially when we're talking about the more commercial world of music. Everyone is writing music for other people and in that sense too. So, you never know how it can be used.
Got it. Yeah. So basically you're saying it's better that you connect with yourself, you stay present, you channel whatever you're feeling within yourself or from the experience, your experience of life or the universe, and do that as freely as possible, even if that doesn't have a practical use in your present right now. And then you can figure out later, okay, maybe there's a way for me to use it for X, Y, Z.
Yeah, and it's been 12 years of me refining that. Yeah. So it's only really been in the last few years that I've understood that's the best way for me, or also how I see other people being most creative. There's an amazing book, State of Flow, and it's one of my favorites. So that's all about really getting in that state of pure presence when you're creating, not having an attachment on the end outcome of what you're doing. And I do find that, of course, it's great to have goals, maybe influences or inspirations of something that you'd like it to sound like at the end, but also practicing that non-attachment in terms of, and that goes for life as well, just trying to let it be what it is, and kind of being kind of awed by the process of making it rather than the outcome.
What actions or thoughts or techniques do you use to get into that state of flow?
You mean in my daily life as well? Yeah.
And specifically when you get to make music?
Yeah. So in my daily life, it is quite a long routine I have in the mornings.
We spoke about it.
Yeah, I used to see people do this, and I used to roll my eyes and be like, oh my God, they're talking about their morning routine, bore off. But I don't know, it's helped me really kind of be the person I am today. And I wake up pretty early. I start with a coffee, which is, still quite unhealthy, but and then I journal first, then I meditate. And then if I need to, I'll do breath work or extended journaling, like more free form. Otherwise, I'll leave it at that. And then I'll do my exercise. So it's about 2 hours, two to 2.5 hours long. And in winter, I love to do a sauna in the morning as well. And then also when I'm going into my studio, I do have a routine with that. I am a morning person, and I think some sort of structure helps creative people as well to feel familiar, with what they're doing, because of course people that have a regular job on 9 to 5, they know that when they go in the office from 9 to 5, they're going to be at their desk doing work. And that's the kind of strategy I take with my music too. So after my exercise, I'll be at my studio desk from 9:30 in the morning, and then I will try and actually stay there for the day until 3, 4, 5 p.m.
Got it. And almost like you put a structure that starts with time for you routines, 2 hours at least after you wake up, and then you have studio production most of the days at least, and then until I think the regularity comes in having for you like a schedule that you put for yourself, like you show up to your office, quote unquote, and do the work, and that helps you to feel like you connect also with your flow to that.
Yeah, and then also, there's different processes with making music, obviously listening to what other people are doing, getting inspired, even going out to exhibitions and making sure I'm staying, observing other art around me. But then also looking up, are there any new VSTs, and what's going on in the life of all the musical instrumental companies? Is there anything cool that I can steal or use?
Yeah. And specifically on your production process, you use hardware and of course software as well. You integrate them quite nicely. What is your typical flow? How do you start when you want to make a track?
Yeah, I'm starting with the kick and bass because I feel like that's the part that's, making your body move, and you usually feel really energetic then. And I'm not jamming with hardware, like multiple machines. What I do is I kind of use them as tools. So I might create one part in software, and then I'll just kind of record in some drums with a drum machine, or record in a synth. And I'll just I like to keep my production very efficient, because I feel like when I start recording for 5 minutes, then I know myself. I don't like to do the digital admin of going in, finding my sound that I like there, chopping it, blah, blah, blah. So I'll play around with the machine. And if I found something I like, I would just record that bit. And I find that that's just so much better, because otherwise, there's just mountains of tracks that I don't finish, and because I don't enjoy kind of going through. I think Ableton could do with really improving that as well. I'm sure they can get some sort of AI to chop and organize the recordings in future, hopefully, because it's boring.
Yeah, to really clean up, for example, of the unused files. Like, there's a lot of there's at least one or two programs that do that for the laptop, for your computer. Same thing, right? So go back and then all the takes you never used to kill them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you, so you tend to record, you mentioned you use hardwares as instrument, and then the workflow is you transfer them to the DAW, Ableton, or in arrangement view, or you do clip view, session view, or
arrangement view all the way. I've never been a clip view person.
Okay.
But I think I also learned a lot from a good friend of mine. I used to always watch him and he always used arrangement view. But again, I don't always have a ton of time because I'm working on, some other exciting projects as well, which I can go into later. But I want to just streamline my music production process, and I actually arrange as I go, which is quite unique. So if I do the kick and the bass, I'll control duplicate it until the full length of the track. And I'm also a visual learner and visual person. I think arrangement view is great for people that are more of a visual kind of person, because you can see exactly what you've got laid out. And I even have my Ableton templates with, the one that I open is kind of a standard template that has some of the breaks already set out, because I generally do make tracks in the same kind of arrangement. I might move it a little bit here and there, but I love arrangement view.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Like, for me, arrangement personally was a big struggle, and I think I've learned the general principle is also that if you minimize the friction, like in your case, if your arrangement is not the part where you want to focus the most, you find something that works, you make quote unquote a template, but you have a formula that is enough the process, because then you finish more tracks and then you can always change it, so you can always alternate.
Yeah, and again, for me, it goes back to staying in a flow. I know myself and what I get bored by, and I want to do the parts more that I'm excited by, because then I'll stay excited, I'll stay engaged with the process, and likely the track's going to be better.
Yeah. And what are the parts that you get more bored by?
Yeah, having to make sure something's in time, cutting and finding recordings, or all of that kind of stuff. Love mixing, adding effects,
you like it?
Sound. Yeah, there's some sort of satisfaction where I'm like, okay, that sounds way better now.
You're like,
yeah,
icing on the cake. You're just like, that's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How do you deal with writer's block when you get stuck? You feel like, oh shit, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, well, I don't want to sound egotistical, but I don't really have writer's block anymore. I think I've just been making music for so long that I know I'm going to make a track. It might not be a good track, but I'm going to be okay with that. So, not every day is like a winning day, is it? So I'll be in the studio, and whatever comes out is then that capture of my energy for that day.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you think what was the mindset shift? Was there a mindset shift behind that?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there's a bit of perfectionism before going on, like, oh, this needs to be better, or this sound isn't good enough. Now I just really try and tune into my body, and I look through sounds, and as soon as I have one I like, I don't question it. I just boom, yeah, that one. I won't go there and search through sounds anymore, and I don't really encourage other people to do that. You always know which one you prefer, and as soon as you hear it, boom, take it. Because once we get into questioning, I think that's when our mind starts overthinking, and for me that's the main thing to success as a music producer is staying intuitive with it, staying in this flow and focusing on the creativity and not getting in your head too much about it.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And I think, do you think, what's the underlying fear when you were getting stuck for perfectionism? What was the underlying fear that was going into your subconscious?
I think, it's just oh, this isn't good enough, I'm not good enough, or has this been a waste of time, or I really wanted that sound, it doesn't sound like that sound. Yeah.
Have you ever had the experience of releasing a track that you thought wasn't great, but you got so much positive feedback on it from labels, from audience, from other DJs?
Yes. I'm trying to think of exact examples. But yes, it's often the one that you don't think is going to resonate, which resonates. And then it's the other way around too. The ones you think will resonate, they don't resonate. So it's kind of, you know, as someone creating your own art, it's very subjective, but it's, you know, it still should be objective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's a big thing. Like, I think everybody asks that as you describe it, and it will never go away. I think I like what you said about you just do a track, finish it. Might be a good track, might not be so good, but then it's okay. I move on.
Yeah, I think it helps. It's basically otherwise we end up judging ourselves and then going into this lower vibrational thought and feeling of like judging, blaming, shaming, and then those lower frequencies are affecting the music in a bad way.
Yeah,
you know, you're sitting there just, you know, being negative to yourself, then it's not going to come out in a good way.
Yeah, and or you stop doing music. You don't go to the studio, you don't finalize tracks.
Exactly, yeah.
And now you have been releasing on a range of labels. And do you feel your style has developed in the last 4 or 5 years?
So much, yeah. I think I've been on so many little journeys with my sound. When I first signed to a publishing agency as well, I was experimenting with all genres. I was writing pop music for a bit just to see how I liked that. Is that something I could imagine myself doing? You know, I was working with singers, being like their producer, which I also learned a lot by. I started to learn how to hear something and be able to make that no matter what sort of genre it was, which I really enjoyed and was really, really important part of my whole process as well. And now in terms of my personal like BEC artist journey, I started out in this more kind of commercial techno, which was actually never really authentically me. I think I got an opportunity on the really big labels right away because of people that I had met and personal relationships I had.
Drumcode, that's the one you're referring to, let's say it as a genre or as a platform, or?
Yeah, Drumcode and also Second State and Filth on Acid, Carl Cox's label, Intech back then when it was still on, Monica Cruz's Terminal M, you know, really like this kind of peak time commercial world, which was really great, you know, for what it did for myself as, you know, raising my name and getting me out there and getting me more gigs. But it was very hard for me to then transition to actually what I love and what I'm doing now. It's taken me 2 years. So in 2023, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to like put the peak time techno on the side. This is the last release I'm doing with a label. I'm not going to name names just in case they don't like it. And then I thought, okay, now I'm going to give myself a 6-month release gap. And then in 2024, I'm going to come out with the music I've always wanted to release. So I started my own label with a special release with me and Kink.
Embargo?
Yeah, Embargo. It was more experimental kind of track, very stripped back, very kind of raw, harder techno. And a lot of people loved that. And then people like SPF DJ noticed me because of that track and said, hey, I'd love you on my label, Intrepid Skin.
Yeah.
And that's literally just come out yesterday, the first track.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then thank you.
Yeah.
And so from 2023 till now, I just started to get in the studio and be like, okay, I'm just going to make whatever I actually want to make. Because I must admit before it was a little bit of like, oh, if I tweak that like that, it could go on Drumcode. Or if I did that bass line, that could go there. Or that could go on Second State. And I just wanted to get away from that, which I did quite well, but it took me 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the hardest part of this journey of transitioning?
Losing some gig momentum. Like I had a very busy last 6 months of the year, but from 2023 and in the beginning of 2024, I didn't have as many gigs. Promoters were a little bit confused at like, oh, she's not playing peak time anymore. And my agents were like, you know, trying to communicate that my sound was changing. But what was a great point for me was, suddenly I was just getting yeses to all my demos, which had never happened. So I remember sending maybe over 30, 40 demos to Adam Beyer for Drumcode and only ever getting a couple of releases on compilations, still not like a solo EP. and when I decided to make this shift and be like more authentically me, you know, Ellen Alien after was suddenly, yes, let's do it. And I'd been sending music to Ellen for my entire career. So that's 12 years. And then suddenly she says yes when I start to be more authentically me. Then I had Nina loving all my music, Nina Kravitz, and, you know, these big, especially, and it was suddenly just loads of women as well, which I really liked.
Yeah, of course.
Which is awesome. Indira, like all of the amazing women that I could think of being supported by or releasing on their labels, it just suddenly all happened, and it was very aligned to where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be surrounded by, because also when you're releasing on a label, you're also signing up to the energy of who's running the label, and you know, you will do things socially with other people on the label, and then it's also kind of a decision of like, who do I want to be surrounded by, who do I want to play with, and suddenly, yeah, very, very happy now. Couldn't have better strong women around me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And also importantly, that what you said before, which is like it feels more authentically you, right? That's the point. If you're doing something that is successful outside whatever the metric is, but then for you, you don't feel like it's really the music now you want to put out, it's just not great.
Yeah.
My question that I always wonder is, do you think that this resonance that you're getting, happened because you're more authentic? Or is just, I don't know, there's like something that objectively your music is better, you can make the argument that the music you make now is better than it was. You will always get better with time. So you 2025, you 2023, this version of you is a better producer. So that could be also the argument. You're getting the yes now because you are objectively better, right?
Yeah.
Or it's because the music is more fit for this niche.
I think now you say that, I do understand that is probably my production skills. You know, I've always been working hard in the studio, but in the last few years, I do think that it turned another point of like really understanding how to do a good mix and putting more time into really crafting sound design. So with the track that's just come out, Dawn of a New Dimension on Intrepid Skin, like I'd sculpted that main synth sound for a very long time, like automating around 7 parameters, like at the same time. So it created this really weird, warped sound. And as Lena says, it sounds like being abducted by aliens, but then kind of enjoying the process. Like that's what she says the sound sounds like. So yeah, probably because I got a better producer, but also because I was more sure of what I want. And also because I started to understand that when you are more authentic, you stand out more and people appreciate that more, because people don't, you know, a lot of music does sound the same, but people really appreciate when yours doesn't. And that's when you can really build more of a niche and a big fan base as well, just like Indira has done, you know, with her more psy-orientated sound. Yeah.
Yes, I think that makes sense to me. And probably, I guess, the implication is that you are more confident because you feel more aligned with yourself. You're probably more proud of what you're sharing, and you're confident in what you're saying in the studio. Like you want to make the clap weird, or you want to take out the clap. Before, like your version of like yourself like 10 years ago would have been like, no, I need to leave it because that's drum code, you know. Now you're like, fuck it, you know.
Yeah, and it also goes hand in hand with a personal journey of being more confident with who you are, and sometimes that comes with age, you know, getting older, more experienced, but also from all the practices I've done and not questioning myself or trying to fit in, and just being really comfortable with who I am and being like, okay, I'm going to leave this in, and it sounds weird, but weird is great. And I'm a bit weird, so great.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there was this phrase that I loved from Tio Nasan that it was on the show. I don't know if you know Tio, but incredible person. And he said this thing, don't fit in, fit out.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I love that.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. I would encourage anyone else as well to please get out of the trap of comparing your music to other labels or musical producers that you aspire to, and just like really go into yourself. What do you actually want to make if you don't listen to anything else? Like what actually comes out of you, and then do that, and people will be drawn to that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question related to this. How do you strike, or how do you integrate being authentically yours and being weird or being unique with some degree of commercial viability, which means you get gigs. You get to live this as a career.
That's a good and complicated question. I think it's not all about the music, right? So it is about telling the story around your music, and by doing something cool also on like, you know, social media that goes along with the music and making it kind of like, I think that you can honestly create whatever sort of music you want, but then you need to create the package around that, right? Like, what's the sort of video I'm going to do for this music? Like, whose hands do I want to get it in? Have I got a story to tell that links to something about me personally that people will resonate with in press? Like, you know, you got to think of it as a whole, is how I would answer that. Yeah.
Yeah. In my view, you seem to have found a way, especially now, right? Do you feel like that for yourself?
I do. Yeah, I do finally. And for me, it was cracking the social media aspect that allowed me to do that. I always felt really bad about my social media like many years ago. And it's something that, you know, I had a lot of like negative self-talk around and compared myself with people with. But now I feel like I've worked what I'm comfortable shooting and doing. And, you know, I've got my routine now of like what I want to do. If I've got an important release coming out, I've got certain photographers and makeup artists and stuff that I work with, you know, that are aligned with my vision and make it more comfortable for me, because actually really I'm more of an introvert and I don't want to get out there on social media. But I think if you just need to make it easier and more comfortable for yourself to get better at the things that you're not comfortable or good at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about this? So for example, what were you not comfortable about in the past? And compared to today, you mentioned you found your way to promote a release. We can go very specific, and let's say you have a release out. What is something that you've seen works for you in promoting the release?
Yeah, it's from kind of like making more of a subject of it, you know, not just about the music, but what am I going to wear? Like, what do I want to express myself in for this piece of music? So it's more like really putting attention into what is this, like art directing the whole release, like not just from the music side. That's how I kind of like really started to be able to kind of hit the nail on the head with feeling better with social media, because before I would just be like rushing everything and disconnecting it from the actual release itself and being like, oh no, I have to post on socials. But now, no, it's more like, I think of it more like the music video that's then just going to be posted on socials, but it has to fit with the artistic vision that I have for the release. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so you think about, for example, the visual aspect and the video content as part of the release itself.
Yeah, and I love that. And even like thinking about the artwork, if it's like my own label as well, that the artwork has to really tell a story. Yeah.
In the stories come, so let's pick an example of, I don't know, something that's coming up on embargo or has come up on embargo. Or maybe the Intrepid skin, I guess you don't have creative direction on the release, right? No. Yeah. So maybe the ones where you have creative direction on embargo, and let's say there's one coming up next month, is the music coming first, then the concept, then the video, or is a different order?
It's really thought of as a whole. So, you know, embargo is all about collaboration, because I never used to collaborate that much. And I decided my label would be about collaboration. So I work really closely with the artists. So like last year it was Kink. This year, should I reveal? Yeah, it's a great DJ called KTK, female DJ who's coming in a few months, like onto the label. And we were thinking about, like what we wanted to represent, because we're both quite spiritual actually. So like we collaborated on one track together, which is amazing. And then she made one separately and I made one separately too. So it's kind of like a package of what we thought. And also like we had different sounds, but we wanted to kind of synergize them in a more unique way. So the artwork is a real representation of that too. So it was really about like discussing with her on like brainstorming how we see this whole release to be, and really integral with the artwork, the naming of the tracks, and us as people. Yeah.
Got it. So you try to give a bit of a broader idea about the concept, and then in terms of practical sharing, do you work with marketing agencies? Do you do everything yourself right now? Mix of both?
So because I came from my design background and then was a creative director for a while, I take care of like the artwork direction myself. Then I have a really amazing 3D designer who I work with. In terms of marketing, I do that myself, because I have quite a clear, I have a campaign structure for the release and it follows the same one for each release. So it's about, Embargo is about, like being secretive as well and like having some sort of like event that we invite our friends and family to before the launch of the music. So it's really like a whole series.
Very cool. As an in-person event, obviously.
Yeah.
Listening party, you listen to the release too, or?
Yeah, so each one will be different, but the one we're planning for the next release will be an in-person, probably more of a listening event. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And do you find, for example, the people you invite tend to be supporters at the labels, or they're just friends? Like, do you invite people that are not related to music that wouldn't necessarily buy the record, or do you invite also your fans and people of your label community?
It's different for everyone, but this one will be probably more of a friends and family thing. We might open it up to general fans, but we'll have to see because it's all still like very work in progress.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool. And for if you were a producer starting off today and you wanted to release you had like 2-3 labels that, like for you was an alien, right? Or an artist or a label that you really want to send music to, what do you think is a good way to connect with these people of the label and send them your music?
I think that going in person to their events and actually being like, it's a bit cringe, but everyone's been there, actually approaching someone in person and being like, I love what you do. Can I get your email? I don't think sending something digitally really is going to have that much chance of having an impact because, when you're in person, it's always so much better to connect. But don't limit yourself as well. There may be other labels, like smaller labels that can act as a stepping stone. So you might have like a big dream, but it might not be that you can go directly there. You've got to make a bit of a plan for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So a combination of things anyways to figure out how to connect with that person, and then if you can send them the music.
Yeah, definitely.
What does it mean to be an artist for you?
That's a deep question. It means having freedom to express yourself. And that's kind of like a short answer, but to dig in deeply to that, it's like, finding out what you are authentically about and being able to express that and share that with the world and not being afraid to. So not questioning your decisions and really, tuning into yourself, not looking at other people, what are other people doing or expecting. It's what do I want to express right now and how do I want to express that?
And when it comes out to DJing, what do you feel when you DJ? Like within your artistic creation, when you're performing and DJing, what do you feel?
So many different emotions. It depends on the gig or how I am. Am I tired? Am I processing something? But, a lot of the times I'm very joyous, super happy because it's amazing to be behind the decks. Other times, if I'm going through something, it's kind of time for me to process because it's this, few hours of you really also tuning into your music and feeling that move through your body and also like thinking or processing, but being in a flow state. So just allowing what's coming up to be there. And sometimes I feel that it's actually a good space for me to process as well. Yeah.
Being on stage and playing the set. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard that before. It's probably I don't think I've heard someone say that before, but if I went through a breakup last year and after that, I had my busiest time ever with gigs. It was so strange. Like I had 3 months where I was just on the road the whole time. And I honestly felt like, there was a lot of high emotions, but I really felt like when I was behind the CDJs, it was like nothing else mattered. And I could just, it sounds cheesy, but I had this deep understanding and it helped me to be more present of like, okay, this is okay. This is like what's happened. And my life's still going to be great, even though it was really hard in that moment, in that initial like heartbreak phase.
Yeah.
But I felt like it really helped me to process what was going on.
Yeah. Sorry for the breakup, by the way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
It must have been very super hard.
Yeah.
And so does it feel like the DJ and performing made you feel more present? And then whatever came up, like it helped you process it that way?
Yeah, I feel like I'm very present when I'm DJing because, you've got to be in tune with everyone standing in front of you. And also you can set the energy. And the music that we play, I know you too, is like can be a bit darker.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also beautiful in terms of transforming this like dark energy or difficult moments in our life. And I feel it definitely makes me present. And there's this kind of thought of like, I'm here now. All of these people are here now wanting to enjoy the moment. And I'm here kind of crafting that moment. And so why don't I just enjoy it as well? So it's kind of like this kind of understanding that there's no matter what's going on in my life, I'm still so grateful to be here, be present, and still life's going to go on, that's the feeling.
Yeah, for sure. So interesting because I think when you started talking about it, my immediate assumption would be they made you escape, like DJing can also be a way to not numb yourself, still being present and live something, but like from a breakup or where you're processing to just escape for a second, right? And for you, it's maybe the opposite.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's the opposite for me. It's like it makes me more present. And I actually sometimes it's like a deep understanding. It's not an overthinking. It's like I'm in this flow state because mostly when I'm DJing, I'm trying to get into that flow state to understand what the crowd wants and, to be able to kind of like create the right energy for what I'm a real DJ that will kind of obviously not adapt completely what I'm playing for them, but I want them to enjoy. So if they're feeling the more harder stuff, I'll tend to test it out and then play the more harder stuff if they react. And so when you're in that state of like being really sensitive and feeling what the crowd are wanting, I think you're also in this kind of sensitive place yourself where you can feel that kind of energy more. And then, if you are processing something that's quite difficult, then that will be kind of present as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I put it. Yeah.
Got it. Do you add techniques to get more in the flow state in the present moment, or is it natural for you?
Yeah, I have a routine for when I DJ too.
You elaborate a little bit?
Well, it's been so long, like I just found, obviously when I was younger, I did used to party sometimes, but in the last like 6-7 years, I sleep before. I wake up an hour before the gig, not more. So I sleep as long as possible. I'll have dinner. I go to bed around like 9:30 or so. For some reason, I always have a great nap. I can't nap any other time apart from before I have a gig. It's so bizarre. I wake up, I have a coffee immediately, like a strong coffee, and then I just make sure that everything's loaded and go to the club and play directly. But having that sleep before and the coffee and like kind of waking up, that kind of, I don't know, it helps me to kind of get into that state where I'm kind of calm and I'm ready and I'm rested.
Yeah, and clear maybe.
Yeah.
Because that corresponds in normal days to your 2 hours of morning routine. It's like the second hour of your morning routine.
Yeah, I always just want that bit of time to myself to kind of get ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, really interesting because I think I was reflecting on this. For me, for example, I need to be really focused to be present because sometimes I feel like when I feel extreme pain or pleasure, I tend to space out. So
Really?
Yeah, it's so interesting. And like when I DJ, I feel pleasure. Like I'm not feeling pain normally, at least. And I tend to drift. I tend to start thinking about other stuff. And like, because I'm so happy that I feel like I have joy ceiling. And then it goes like this and then I space out. It's so, and I've been
dissociation.
Yeah, it's really dissociation. But then I'm now figuring out ways to be more present, but I need to be very intentional.
Yeah.
So for me, touching the DJ booth, touching the deck, the anchoring with one hand on the table really keeps me present. Like using my body to be, actually, I'm here. I'm not in the future, Yeah. For you, it seems like your routine or waking up, your mind is clear. When you get there, you're like, there's no other things that are intruding into your mind.
Yeah, and sometimes that's really interesting. actually, and it's really interesting how different people are in terms of how they see DJing and how they use it for themselves as well. But yeah.
When you think about a crowd in your performances, is there something you wish they feel when you are playing?
Yeah, that presence, I guess. That's what I want them to feel. I want them to not worry about the past or the future. That's essentially what anxiety is. And, really just be present, because that's where we can really enjoy and not just enjoy the joyous feelings we're feeling, but actually understand the other ones are just as important and necessary for us as well. And a lot of people in techno, they're not always, in the happiest place, right? And we play and make dark music, but there's so much beauty in the darkness, and that's also there for people to process. So I hope that people are also coming and being able to have that moment that I do behind the decks if they're having a hard time with family or something's gone on in their life. Maybe they just have that moment where they feel, oh, that doesn't matter, or it's not that it doesn't matter, but they'll get through it, and it's just a moment in time, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then it's a very beautiful outcome, and I wish more people felt more present and not numb or distracted, because I think it's the experience changes.
Yeah,
it can be very deep and spiritual as well. Do you feel, for example, when you are on the other side, when you are dancing, listening to music, do you feel also the same connection to spirituality, to the beyond physical world that you have when you're making?
I have sometimes, yeah. One particular moment comes to mind for me, actually. Answer Code Request was playing in Berghain, and he played Future Sounds of London, Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, of course.
And it was just blew me away. I was just right in the sweet spot of the Berghain dance floor. And the sound, right in the middle there, just kind of, you can hear it the best. And I just remember that sound just kind of took me into this more spiritual space. And I decided to immediately leave Berghain and go home and make an edit of that track. That was actually kind of before all these edits were in a fashion. So before it was a big thing to make edits. That must have been 2019 or 18. And actually I sent that edit out to some DJs, and it was played a few weeks later at Awakenings and all these things. So I was like, oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. So the inspiration brought you to also creating again, you got it from the dance floor, but then for you it translated into a creation of your own.
Yeah, I think I was just so inspired. I wanted to make a more techno version of it, because it was still the original that he played, and I was like, wow, this would sound so cool I just layered a 909 drum pattern with it, and then I just made a big break for that pad to come in, and then it was very good to play in sets and stuff like that.
Very cool. Yeah. Talking about your life and career in general, do you tend to plan in advance, or you go with the flow with how things will happen?
Yeah, I generally think the more I plan, the worse the set is. What I do, if it's an important set, which, a lot of my sets are important these days, so I will plan the first 5-6 tracks, but then I find that if I plan too much, it takes me away from reading the crowd and seeing what they're enjoying. So I try to just plan the first few tracks and then really just go off from there and go through my other folders. And you will see me, and sometimes I watch other people DJ and I don't understand how they're not spending as much time as me looking through folders, because I do take a while. I'm usually playing 2 to 3 tracks at the same time, but you'll see me there standing there twisting, looking round through my collection sometimes for 20-30 seconds before I've decided to play a track, because I'm really trying to feel out, okay, what would be good next? What's the journey going to be next? Yeah.
I maybe also because you're listening, you're tuning in the crowd as well. So then you're probably thinking, okay, what fits this moment instead of what you prepared for the moment.
Yeah.
So you're getting feedback live, and then you need to interpret it and then find the track that fits that journey that you want and that people want.
Yeah, but then I'm also obviously thinking about what's after this, what's the next half an hour whilst I'm looking for that track. I think a lot of people these days, and it's probably an unpopular opinion, they have their set list for like that few months. And I really wish that DJs wouldn't do that, because at the end of the day, we are disc jockeys. Like, it was always made to be reading the crowd and feeding. I think there's less and less skill these days in actually DJing. So if we're not reading the crowd and we don't have that huge collection or like knowledge of our music, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So sorry to say that, but
yeah. I mean, also you collaborated with King, which for me arguably is the best live set. As a solo live set is incredible, and the way he is interpreting music and doing stuff live is just a masterclass, and like, it's really mastery of tools and instantaneous playing. And that for me is like a very beautiful counterexample of like how much you can stretch your performance to make it so live and so almost done on the spot, which is it's incredible.
Yeah, he's so inspiring. He's definitely one of my top inspirations, and he's also like that in the studio. So we made that track together, and it was just very similar to me in terms of like staying in the flow, doing things quickly and being kind of intuitive. But yeah, he's such an inspiration. Like, I went to watch him at Elsa a few years ago, play a live set, and I decided after that I wanted to create my own live setup. So I did actually work on a live setup of my own.
Yeah.
But interestingly, I found that promoters were actually kind of more into the idea of me DJing. Maybe it's because I've just been DJing for so long, and it's kind of harder to suddenly pivot if you've already built something. But I think he's amazing. Yeah, he's one of my top inspirations as an artist as well. And that energy, positivity.
Oof.
Yeah.
Insane. Yes, I last time I saw him, I think playing live was in Säule in Berghain.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe November or December. I don't know. And also he as a person, like, he just is such a energizing, beautiful person. Like, just this kind of like nice energy. So playful with people. Incredible. And going back to your live set, when you asked promoter, you pitched it, was the price, the fee that you were asking different compared to a DJ set? Because I've heard that a lot of people that play live set that are really good and skilled, because the fee is higher. The promoter then say is not worth it because, I would probably lose money if I accepted this.
Yeah, I mean, it was my agents pitching, so I didn't really have the info about what they were doing. But I remember that I wanted to play live at EDC, for example, in Vegas, and they just, I think when it's such a huge festival as well, they have so much to organize, and like that risk of adding like the equipment that you need, and I wouldn't travel with everything I need, so they would have to provided some of the gear that I needed. So I think it's just, in the end, it's just more risk for the promoter. And I do understand, because there's already so much risk involved, right? So imagine if you're a business owner in another job and someone goes, hey, can we just add more risk to that? The possibility of more stuff going wrong and...
For more cost.
Yeah, already. For more cost. And I'm only going to play an hour, so you might have to get someone else to play. So I think there are these kind of live-only ecosystems with like certain festivals that are doing more like purely like live stuff. And that's really where you need to transition. What I realized is if you want to be a live artist, you need to transition to having a live booking agent, searching for those gigs that really will love to see you play live. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a bit more effort, but yes, I think it makes, logically, there's a lot of considerations that go with that. Yeah. One more question about you, and then we talk about the broader industry. There's some stuff about your other projects, Web3, maybe also streaming if we get there. But the question I had was about branding. I read in another interview that you released some time ago, which you spoke about branding as one of the necessary parts of your artistic career. How do you see branding for someone who is creating their name, like they want to play? Let's say the objective is, I'm a DJ, I want to play more gigs. What do you think are the most important things to think about when it comes to branding?
I think it has to be standout and unique, and also go through everything you do. Mm-hmm. And I've seen some DJs do that really well these days with their DJ name, Classic. There's some really funny ones out there, some quite rude ones as well, which is not the best strategy if you want to play like really widely around the world. But going back to branding, it needs to like live and breathe everything you do. So it needs to be you as a person, the colors, your logo, your music, your social media, who you have around you, your agents, like your photo shoots. Everything needs to be in a cohesive brand. And if that's not something that you're skilled at or you find easy, then try and work with someone that does. And maybe, if you don't have a budget for that in the beginning, of course, it can be expensive. Try and see if you can maybe swap your skills with someone else. Is a friend of a friend a branding expert? Can they help you define or treat it like a little project, write a little presentation or detail it out and kind of have your own brand rule book.
Yeah. Have you done it for yourself in the past?
Yeah. And then at some points I've worked with management that have also helped me to define that too at different points in my career.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done it myself as well.
In the management, at what point of your career came? Because I think I guess the evolution is that if you then start getting gigs, then you have a management first of all, and then they also help you refine it for where you want to go. Yeah,
I got management very late, and I only had management for a few years. Now I don't have management again.
Mm-hmm. For clarity, management would be someone that manages your creative endeavors and projects and image as well, which is different from a booking agent.
Yeah, so management, essentially the role of a manager is to keep an eye on everything, including the booking agents, but also your branding. Mainly they're trying to get you more revenue, really, because that's why they're interested in managing you.
Yeah.
But in order to get more revenue as an artist, you got to think about the important other parts as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got it. In your booking agent, what relationship do you have with them? Do they also help you with this branding core decisions, or have they helped you in the past?
Yeah, so now I do lean on my agency, my booking agency, as more like management because we've worked together so long. And they've also my agent also manages Indira now on Artcore, and Michaela manages the label Artcore. And these are all like good friends that we have a lot of contact with each other. So they help me to give me advice when I need, or I have a difficult decision. And now it's a lot about label and music strategy and stuff as well. So it's, asking, hey, what's your opinion here? And just having that voice to bounce something back with, which is really useful.
Yeah. You have a thought partner. There's someone that has experience, knows the industry, helps you problem solve on critical things or important things.
Yeah, exactly.
Important topic. The industry and fostering artists in general. Last time when we spoke, you told me about your other project, which is, I'd like to talk about it, but essentially to frame it, is something that would bring back ownership to artists that make music and is using Web3. And it's something you're working on with another co-founder. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, it started 6 months ago as an idea, and now the last 2 months we've been working really intensely actually on it. It's essentially a blockchain ticketing platform with amazing analytics. So we're doing some really cool stuff, which I'm not going to reveal everything of, but for large scale events, we're going to be able to give really amazing data using AI, predictive AI, and some geotech stuff. So that's really exciting. And actually I wanted to work on something again that was more in the tech world. Yeah. So
because you worked with your sister as a co-founder in your own other tech startup before. You told me briefly about the story.
Yeah.
How does that, what's the vision for this platform?
The vision for this platform is to remove third parties. So there'll be no longer a need for Ticketmaster and these big conglomerates that are dominating the industry. And they actually have really legacy software. It's not good. It's expensive. The artist doesn't have ownership of what they're actually doing. So we want to eradicate this and be more of a white labeled infrastructure. So essentially letting the artists take that in-house. So the artists will be driving everything to their own website, and which is the way I think the industry is going, and everything ownership is going in terms of the rise of AI as well.
Yeah. Distribution. How do you use AI in this context? Do you at all for now, or?
Yes, AI is a huge part of my life. I love AI. I'm not scared of it. I don't think people should be scared of it. We're at a really amazing pivotal point in the history of human existence, and it's exciting. So yeah, it's definitely integrated in the business, and I use it a lot every single day as well.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. For the business tour, like for meaning operations internally for now.
Not just operations, the software is directly using AI.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to give away too much just because we're still in the early days, but we're using AI as a huge part of what we're doing. Let's just say it's going to be like almost instantaneous to set up really complicated events, not just for music, but for anything you could imagine. And we're going to be using predictive AI as well to give like really insightful data about what attendees might be doing at the next event, like, and all of this sort of forecasting as well.
Yeah. Are you live, beta, pre-live?
Pre-live, still in the design and development phase, but already onboarding clients, which is kind of a chicken and egg situation. So I never expected it to go so quickly. I thought that I might have, I thought that I would just be working on something slowly. And, you know, music for me was a 12-year steady climb. And this has been 2 months of like, it's just kind of waking up every day. There's a new opportunity, which is amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. I'm looking forward to hearing more and knowing like when it's live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exciting. And another thing about the music industry. So Spotify, in general streaming platform, another big uprise. A lot of people now are contesting Spotify. The historical background has been that is one of the platforms that delivers the least in terms of royalties per stream to labels and therefore to artists. The news are also that they're using a lot of AI generated artists who essentially become bands. That means the royalties, the streams are stolen from the real artist. And real artists get paid less and less, especially if you're underground or you're not Ed Sheeran. The third piece of news is that the Daniel Ek, who is the founder and CEO of Spotify, has invested for the second time on an AI military company. So a lot of people, especially in the techno realm, but broadly in the music industry, are saying, I'm pulling out of Spotify.
Yeah.
What's your take in general on streaming? And then we can go into Spotify if you've seen also alternatives that can work for artists.
And I think there'll be less and less need for these huge platforms, because the reason these platforms became big and widely used in the beginning is because they had that infrastructure. They had the money, the staffing and the resources to create these platforms, Beatport, Spotify, even Bandcamp, any of these, although Bandcamp's obviously a lot better for the artist. And now that's changed. So there's even these vibe coders now. So Lovable, Bolt, Replit, there were many others. Yeah. Anyone can make an app within a couple of hours, and then of course it's not ready to go on to the shelf. But I hope that in the next year, and I think this will increase exponentially with a lot of speed, that we'll see a lot of white labeled solutions for the artists by artists. And people that don't usually or haven't been able to make products in the past, they'll be able to. So I really hope that overrides any sort of progress that Spotify can make in that time.
The challenge that I would see that's definitely a scenario, but the challenge is the network effect, right? So I think the beautiful thing that Spotify to me has nailed is the playlist, both from curators and algorithmic, but the broader the broader discovery algorithm that is much better than any other platform that I personally tried. I haven't tried Tidal, I haven't tried Deezer, but much better than YouTube, SoundCloud, Bandcamp. Chances of an artist to be discovered, unless again you're like already famous and already classified in a bucket, in any of the other platform by association with similar music, it's very slim. But Spotify, sometimes you get discovered because your music gets playlisted together with similar artists, and that allows a lot of like audience to find you.
Really?
Yeah. Do you use a lot of Spotify like as a listener?
Yeah, but I actually kind of disagree. I always thought YouTube had a really strong algorithm from the start. I used to love like looking at the recommended videos and discovering music there. I think a lot of the other platforms have really strong algorithms that are just improving and improving too. I don't think Spotify is so good for techno because a lot of the stuff that I really want to discover is not really even sometimes on Spotify as well.
Wow, so interesting.
Yeah. No, I don't like the algorithm of Spotify.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'm listening to pop or something like really commercial, it's fine and it's good, but I wouldn't trust it for DJing or searching for new tracks or wanting to be discovered via Spotify.
It's so interesting because my experience, direct experience, has been of me as a producer has been the opposite. So when I go on YouTube for my niche, I do a lot of like, I play Italo Disco, that's a project, and the other one is techno. The realm is like hypnotic techno, close to impossible to find. Like 1 out of 10 recommendation on YouTube is okay.
Okay.
On SoundCloud, the second recommendation is good, the third is good, the fourth one is a rap song. SoundCloud. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something wrong with me. I don't know. On Spotify, I have to say when, for example, one thing that has been very effective for me is that I create a playlist of tracks that for me are good for a specific vibe or a set. And then the recommended song in the bucket that learns from the existing group of songs is really good. And sometimes I find gems. I'm like, fuck, why did I not? I had no idea these artists existed.
Yeah.
And I found really good stuff. But I don't know. I guess it depends.
It might be to do with your niche subgenre that you're doing.
Probably.
But I also like hypnotic techno as well and raw techno. Would you say it's raw hypnotic or both?
I think I think it's hypnotic. I think Beatport would say is raw hypnotic because it's the same bucket.
Yeah.
But I think...
Do you think there's a difference?
I think there's like a difference. Yeah. What would you define as raw techno?
So hypnotic has maybe got more of like a melody or soundscape that's like a little bit more trippy.
Yes.
And then maybe raw, it could not be like that, but still be, maybe it's just drums or something just really more raw.
Yeah, drums and maybe some synthesizer that are kind of scattered throughout. That would be the raw techno for me.
Yeah.
The hypnotic would be, what do you say? Like some melodies, some... repetitive melody, bleeps, blobs, melodic. Yeah, bleeps and blobs.
Because the funny thing is when I'm looking for raw music, which I do quite often because I still play that as well, algorithms are really great for me, even on SoundCloud. Like I will be looking through like related tracks, which I actually do quite often, and I'll find tons of good stuff. However, I'm not looking for hypnotic stuff. So maybe it's like hypnotic stuff that it doesn't quite follow the melody or doesn't quite get it right for some reason.
Maybe.
But I find the algorithms on most of the platforms pretty good, except from I'm not ever searching for music on Spotify.
Oh, okay. I want to dig deep in deep. Yeah. It makes sense. Like that was it's a very good assumption that it's genre specific. I know, for example, Mixcloud now is being used by a lot of rappers. One of my best friends is like super much into hip hop and rap, and apparently Mixcloud is thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I remember that takes me back.
Yeah, MySpace.
Yeah.
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 Very cool.
It's a long time ago.
And let's go toward the wrap up. I'll ask you a series of rapid fire questions. Answer whatever comes first into your mind.
Okay. Let's go.
What part of your personality is a blessing and what is a curse? And they can be the same thing or different.
My sensitivity.
Mm-hmm. Both. Blessing, curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hurt yourself easily.
I feel everything very deeply, whether it's good or bad. Yeah.
How do you shield yourself from when it's too much?
Give myself time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't talk to anyone. Just stay home by myself.
Yeah. Recharge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What drives you in life in 1 to 3 words?
Passion.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What has been one of the most interesting or funny or challenging moments of you playing when you were playing?
Traveling to dangerous places and actually like having a few times where I felt unsafe. Yeah.
Wow. Traveling by yourself, and I imagine as well.
Yeah.
Any specific moment where you were like, fuck?
Yeah, jungle party in Mexico during the pandemic. Yeah, was quite scary. It was like, this whole some sort of cartel coming and having to leave very quickly. Yeah, and then someone took my phone by accident, the DJ before me, so I also was phoneless, and fuck, it was really scary.
What a situation, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made it through.
I made it.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is one of the funniest or weirdest guest list requests you have ever received?
Just, for like 15 people. I haven't had any funny names or anything like that, I don't think. No, sorry, I don't really have an answer for that one.
So someone
just asking for way too many names, and I'm like,
15.
Yeah.
You said yes.
Pizza. No, I was like, no way.
Too many. Can you sing aloud one of your latest tracks, upcoming or released?
Can I sing aloud?
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, that would be impossible. Yeah, no, I'm passing on that one.
Pass. If you had to choose one closing track for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Rødhåd, track 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very minimalistic. I think I know this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Berlin techno vibe. Or Detroit techno.
Yeah.
Before Berlin techno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Original techno.
Very cool. What is a guilty pleasure track for you? Something you will never play in a set officially.
Well, I do sometimes. Oh, you mean I was going to say guilty pleasure that I do play in a track.
Okay, also, yeah.
Like, there's this edit of, like, Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head. But it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And I just love to sneak it in sometimes because it's quite good, but then it's like a guilty pleasure. I'm like, oh, this is quite cheesy. Yeah. And I like it.
Yeah, for sure. But I think you can sleep it, like, in a nice way.
Yeah. It's quite cool, actually. I should dig it out again.
Yeah. Like that. Would you rather play in front of 10,000 strangers, huge stadium, massive, big room, or 20 friends in a house party?
To be honest, I got to say, like, the 10,000 strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, I played them. This is going to be a short answer, so that's my answer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
You prefer it because it's easier? Like, you have less potential judgment or...
No, I think I just did like the whole friends thing so much back in the day when I was like rising as a DJ, jumping on the decks wherever I was at any opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And now I prefer to let another friend play when I'm with friends,
Yeah.
I prefer to just,
relax.
Yeah, chill or chat. Yeah.
Fair enough. Who would be an artist, and they can be a musician or other kind of artist, dead or alive, that you will get stuck on a deserted island with for a week?
In terms of like music or personality, or can be anything.
Anything.
Strange answer, I guess, but Ludovico Einaudi comes to mind because I saw him play his piano for, I think it's like BBC One Planet or something, where he was like in Iceland and you see like all of the amazing kind of like icebergs and ice like around him. And I just had that image in my mind. I just like to be listening to him on a desert island. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Playing piano.
Yeah. Very relaxing. You will have a relaxing time for sure.
Yeah.
Final question, closing tradition. What question should we ask the next guest without knowing who they're going to be?
What was your biggest lesson in your music career?
Yeah, Dave. It's a question for you as well, which is, if, touching the wood, you passed away tomorrow, what will be your legacy?
Talking about like the deeper and more difficult parts of like life and how that's like in a bigger picture of, spirituality and consciousness, not just living an unconscious life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very well.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, for the inspiring conversation, and for going deep into the questions and answers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It was really good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good questions too.
Thank you.